Las Vegas Raiders fans, big news just dropped, and if you care about the future of the team, you're going to want to hear this. Today, the Raiders made a smart and powerful move. They've hired Brandon Hunt, who used to be the senior director of scouting for the Eagles. Now, he's the vice president of player personnel for the Raiders. This is a big deal. Why? Because Hunt has a sharp football mind and a history of helping teams build winning rosters. And here's where it gets even better. Just recently, the Raiders also brought in Anthony Patch, another top talent who worked closely with Howie Roseman, one of the best decision-makers in the NFL. Both Patch and Hunt were key names in the Eagles' front office, and now they're helping build the future of the Silver and Black. Before we get to the next exciting update, including what this means for our draft strategy, subscribe to the channel, like it, and don't forget to press the bell icon. Let's move on to the new news. Now let's talk impact. Hunt joined the Eagles in 2022, and since then, Philadelphia has been one of the best teams at finding stars through the draft. If you've seen how the Eagles picked top talent in 2022, 2023, and even this year in 2024, you know exactly why this hire matters. This move proves the Raiders are serious about building a team the right way, through smart scouting, strong drafts, and long-term planning. Stay tuned, because this offseason is just heating up. The Las Vegas Raiders are not just making random hires, they're building a strong foundation. And the latest moves show a serious commitment to smart football thinking. Brandon Hunt isn't just another name on paper. He's someone who worked closely with one of the sharpest minds in the NFL, Howie Roseman of the Philadelphia Eagles. That kind of experience doesn't just help, it transforms teams. And that's exactly what the Raiders are trying to do. Let's go even deeper. Alongside Hunt, the Raiders also brought in Anthony Patch, a key figure from the Eagles' front office. While you might not know his name like you do a star quarterback, people in the NFL respect him a lot. And here's why that matters. When someone like Patch leaves a winning team, it makes headlines. In Philly, they knew they were losing someone important. Patch was the Eagles' senior director of college scouting and had been with them since 2016. He worked right next to the top decision-makers, even appearing in draft room photos alongside Roseman and team owner Jeffrey Lurie. That tells you how important he was. And now, he's with the Las Vegas Raiders. Let's not forget, the Eagles have been one of the best drafting teams in recent years. Since 2022, they've won 39 games, just one behind the Kansas City Chiefs. The Raiders, only 18 in that same stretch. So, what's the plan here? Simple. The Raiders are taking two key minds from a winning franchise and using their knowledge to build something great in Vegas. They're not chasing flashy signings. They're focused on real football intelligence. And that's how you build a champion. Let's be honest. When a team like the Raiders hires someone with a background like Brandon Hunt's, it's hard not to be excited. Before his time with the Eagles, Hunt spent over a decade with the Pittsburgh Steelers, one of the most respected and stable franchises in the NFL. From 2009 to 2022, he was a key part of the Steelers' front office, helping scout and build rosters filled with talent. What does that mean for the Raiders? It means they now have someone who's learned from two of the best, Omar Khan in Pittsburgh and Howie Roseman in Philadelphia. Both of those organizations have one thing in common. They know how to win. The Steelers haven't had a losing season in over 15 years. That kind of consistency doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you have smart people in the front office, people like Brandon Hunt, helping shape the future. Now, Hunt is bringing all of that knowledge to Las Vegas. Think about that. The Raiders have added someone who understands what it takes to build strong draft classes, develop young talent, and build depth. Something the team has struggled with in the past. If you're a Raiders fan, this isn't just a small front office move. This is a major step toward becoming the kind of team that wins consistently and stays competitive year after year. So here's a simple question. How excited are you? Because the Raiders just hired a man who spent years around success. And now, He's here to help turn that success into something big in Vegas. Let's shift gears and talk about a name that always gets attention: Jalen Ramsey. Yes, trade rumors are heating up again, and this time the Raiders are quietly in the conversation. According to recent reports, there's more behind-the-scenes interest in Ramsey than many expected. And here's the catch: if a trade does happen, it likely won't be official until after June 1st. Why? It's all about how NFL contracts are structured. Teams like Miami could save serious money by waiting until that date. Now, the big question: could the Raiders actually make a move for Jalen Ramsey? Right now, it feels unlikely. Not impossible, but unlikely. And here's why. First, let's talk numbers. Ramsey is set to earn $21.1 million in 2025. Even though that contract has no guaranteed money left, it's still a huge amount to take on. Add to that the cost of a possible third-round pick, and you're looking at a heavy investment, both in salary and draft capital. Second, and maybe even more important, is the Raiders' growing confidence in their current group of cornerbacks. The team has quietly built depth at the position, and insiders believe that the front office is happy with what they've got. Sure, Ramsey is a big name, he's a proven star, but this new-look Raiders organization isn't chasing headlines. They're focused on building smart, sustainable success. That means using cap space wisely and keeping valuable draft picks. In short, yes, Ramsey's name will come up. Yes, fans will talk. But don't be surprised if the Raiders decide to stay the course and trust the talent they already have on the roster. Let's talk facts. The Raiders don't need Jalen Ramsey as much as people think. And if you're wondering why, here's the breakdown. This team already has a strong group of young corners. Jacorian Bennett has shown solid promise. They just brought in Darian Porter with a third-round pick, a guy with serious upside. And don't forget about Eric Stokes, a veteran with starting experience. Even Damon Richardson, while not drafted by this regime, fits the mold of the type of corner the new staff values: tall, fast, physical. Then there's Mello Dodson, who impressed at rookie minicamp. You stack all these guys together in the same room, and something powerful happens. Competition. The kind that pushes every player to level up. That's how depth is built. But here's the bigger issue. Ramsey is strictly an outside corner. The Raiders need help elsewhere. They don't need to pay over $21 million for a player who's never played slot corner or free safety. The very roles the Raiders are still looking to fill. Could Ramsey transition into those roles? Maybe. He's talented enough. But should the Raiders gamble millions and a third-round pick just to experiment? That's risky business. There's a smarter way forward. Instead of spending big on Ramsey, the Raiders could use that cap space to shore up long-term pieces, like locking in Kolton Miller and Jakobi Meyers with new contracts. That kind of move strengthens your core and protects your future. And let's not forget, if you truly need a free safety, Justin Simmons is still out there. He's proven at that position, and he'd cost a lot less than Ramsey. Bottom line, the Raiders have already invested in the cornerback position. The focus now should be filling real needs, not chasing big names for big prices. Here's something that needs to be said. The Raiders have leaders worth building around, and it's time to show them that. Two names come to mind: Kolton Miller and Jakobi Meyers. These aren't just talented players. They're locker room leaders. These are the types of guys who bring stability and pride to your franchise. If the Raiders are serious about building a winning culture, locking these two into long-term deals should be a priority. Forget about overpaying for Jalen Ramsey. That $21 million could do a lot more for this roster if it's spent the right way. Extensions for Miller and Meyers make more sense. Not just financially, but for the message it sends to the entire team. Take care of your own. Build loyalty. Show that hard work and leadership get rewarded in silver and black. Now, let's talk about the bigger picture: the Ramsey sweepstakes. Reports say teams like the Lions, Eagles, Rams, and Commanders are all in the mix. These are organizations pushing hard to win right now. They might overpay to get a veteran corner like Ramsey. That's fine. Let them. The Raiders, on the other hand, aren't in that kind of desperation mode. Yes, this team can make the playoffs. Yes, they're trending upward. But they're also being smart, measured, and methodical about it. That's how long-term contenders are built. And let's not ignore this. The Raiders did have interest in Ramsey before the draft. Since then, they've taken steps to strengthen the secondary with younger, more affordable talent. The urgency to go after Ramsey just isn't there anymore. So, when it comes down to it, is Ramsey a great player? Absolutely. But is he the right move for the Raiders right now? Probably not. Other teams may chase the headlines. The Raiders should chase smart decisions. Let's get straight to it. The Raiders are playing the long game, and that's exactly why a trade for Jalen Ramsey doesn't make much sense right now. Here's what's going on behind the scenes. The Dolphins are reportedly open to trading Ramsey, and the rumored asking price, a third-round pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. Now, on the surface, that might sound reasonable. But if you know how the Raiders are building their future, you'll understand why they'd hesitate. Las Vegas isn't just collecting draft picks for the sake of it. They're planning strategically for 2026 and 2027, setting themselves up for sustained success, not just a one-season flash. Throwing away a valuable pick, especially when you're trying to create long-term depth, doesn't line up with the Raiders' current approach. And let's be real. If you're giving up a third-rounder, you want to know you're getting top-tier value in return. Jalen Ramsey is still talented, no doubt. But he's also expensive, aging, and not necessarily the right fit for what the Raiders actually need on defense. So, what's a smarter move? If the Raiders were to get involved at all, a fourth-round pick, not a third, would make more sense. Why? Because they're expected to get an additional comp pick anyway, just like they did in the Davante Adams situation. It's smart business, it's calculated, and instead of overpaying for a name, they could include a young player with upside. Someone like Damon Richardson, a cornerback who hasn't gotten a lot of spotlight but has raw talent and potential to grow. Pairing a pick with a developmental player keeps the price low and the strategy tight. The Raiders are done making reckless moves. They're focused, deliberate, and building a team the right way. Let's wrap this up with a real look at what a realistic trade package from the Raiders might actually look like, and why it probably won't happen. If Las Vegas decided to make a move for Jalen Ramsey, they wouldn't go all in recklessly. Instead, they'd likely try to balance the deal by offering young talent with potential and a mid-round draft pick. One name that could come up is Damon Richardson. He's only been in the league a year, but he's got physical traits the Raiders love. Tall, long, athletic, and capable of contributing on special teams. He's currently behind a few other corners on the depth chart, but that doesn't mean he lacks upside. Another possible name in the mix? Chris Smith, a respected voice in the locker room and a product of a championship program at Georgia. He hasn't seen much playing time, and he's heading into the final year of his deal. A move like this might help both sides, but let's be honest. It's unlikely Miami says yes to that kind of offer. And that's okay, because what really matters here is that the Raiders aren't desperate. They're playing smart, and they're not going to overpay, especially after the absolute masterclass they put on during Day 2 of the NFL Draft. General Manager Tom Telesco had a clear plan. He stuck to it, and now the Raiders have something they haven't had in years: real depth. That kind of execution doesn't just fill holes, it builds a team that can win now and win later. So, yes, Jalen Ramsey is still a great player. But when you look at the bigger picture, the Raiders are better off sticking to their blueprint. And that blueprint doesn't include giving up premium assets for aging stars.